You know, when it comes to motivation and it comes to changing your state of mind, we have so many things to rely on now, thanks to technology. We got playlists, we got music apps, SoundCloud, Tidal, iTunes, just the plethora, YouTube, just a wide multitude of options that we can refer to change our state, to really cause us to become motivated, right? And to desire more than we actually want. And in reality, those alternatives are actually like coffee, meaning that playlist or that song or that technology will eventually wear off, just like sugar and caffeine. And sometimes this can cause a crash, just like sugar and caffeine. And so what I want to do is I want to share in this episode, I want to share with you a true fact, not a cliche saying. This is not a high beat song. You're not going to feel like you're at a rave. You're not going to feel like you're doing cardio or you're at a punk concert. This is true fact. And so the sound is just going to come off sound. It's not going to have a cool beat behind it, right? This is an actual fact. And the reason why I want to share with you a fact is because much like, working out, it's more efficient and more potent than coffee and sugar. I swear to you, there's nothing more better for your momentum and your psyche and your confidence and your mentality than actually working out in the early morning. I know some of you be like, but I'm not a morning person, D. I'm not a morning person. I just need to go to bed at 12. I just need to. Who's gonna watch the news? Who's gonna watch the news, D? I'm the news watcher in my family, D. There's just no way. Whatever excuse you have, just think about the possibility and also the upside for working out in the morning. If you're gonna douse yourself in coffee and drink a couple gallons of coffee, try actually working out. You might lower the amount of money you're spending on coffee, and you're gonna notice that you don't get as burnt out. Plus, you're operating at a higher level. You're operating at a much higher frequency if you've been up for 4 hours compared to your colleagues who just woke up 30 minutes before clocking in with you. And so think about that, some food for thought. But in this episode, I want to share with you a true cold fact that is going to be like your workout versus coffee, right? I know it's going to suck because, sometimes the truth is really hard to bear. And the reason why I even came up with this, or why I'm going down this road and the whole meaning behind this video, is because I was asked the other day, what was the best lesson you've ever learned from your mentor? And this is from I would say he was at least in his early 20s. That was a great question. Like, damn, okay, cool. So I'd never been asked that before. But what was funny is that I did not hesitate to answer that the greatest lesson that my mentor taught me was actions are louder than words. And in this world, you need to be loud, or you are simply going to be ignored, overlooked, and lost in the shuffle of life. And, my God, it took me a minute to really absorb that. Like, when it came out, I was like, what? Because I was still young myself, I was still kind of a knucklehead. And this is how it happened. When I first got into corporate America, I came into corporate America as a telemarketer. And what I'm talking about is corporate. Like, Like, I was at a nice corporate area in Irvine. This wasn't like, the manufacturing building that's somewhere located in an industrial manufacturing area where you're kind of cold calling out of some room inside of a shop that's half manufacturing, half call center. If you've been in those locations before, I have. I used to raise funds for DARE, a youth program to keep youth out of gang activities and keep them out of away from drugs. The fucking irony was that when I was young and I was raising money to help keep kids off drugs, I was one of the kids on drugs. Fucking ironic is that? So I was the druggie talking to the adult, making them, talking them and coercing them and persuading them into donating hundreds of dollars of their fixed income to a DARE program to keep kids away from gang activities and drugs. Let alone, I was the motherfucker that was engulfed in the gang activities and drugs. Weird, right? But anyways, that's what I did. And so I don't really consider that corporate America. But when I got from that phase, you know, like raising money and kind of just hanging around in just a shoddy, questionable shop, and I stepped into corporate America is because I got a telemarketing job for a mortgage company. World changed. You know, now I was introduced into dress codes. I was introduced into, you know, just different things that I wasn't used to. Like people had, you know, there was just a nice office. Like, oh, damn, you guys got an elevator. You know, like you have to understand, for things that we may take for granted now, we're used to, like the luxuries that we have in our office, or just the appearance of our office. We have to understand that there are plenty other companies that just simply don't have that. Anyway, I digress. So when I got into this industry, I was very knuckleheaded still. I was still on the fence. I wasn't fully mature yet. You know, I had to have been at least maybe 19, 20 years old. And what happened was, when I came into this atmosphere, I was surrounded by people that I would usually call bougie. Like I didn't like that. I was raised to not like them. And it was basically the clean-cut kids, the nerdy kids. You know, I came into this environment with a chip on my shoulder. And the chip on my shoulder was that I'm better than you. Fuck you, even though you had a better lifestyle or better background, or you went to a nice school, or you got nicer clothes, or it looks like you got more money than me right now. Fuck you, I'm better than you. And that's just the way I was raised, right? And I was really engulfed in that type of mentality back then, because that's just how I came up to be. And so you have to understand that in different pockets of communities, maybe within your own local neighborhood. See, I'm comparing the slums of LA County to the nice areas of Orange County. If you've ever been to California, these are night and day. And you know, when you see one and you just see the environment, we have to be aware of the social awareness. And this taught me a very important lesson of social awareness, of emotions, of kind of just the vibe of a room. It taught me how to read a room, you know, just understanding, because they were so opposite ends of the spectrum and so insanely different that there was just tension. And what's funny is because I was the only one who felt the tension, and I didn't realize this at the time, but I came in with a chip on my shoulder, feeling like everyone was judging me because I was the only one, you know, sagging my pants. I was the only one who didn't listen to the manager when they kept saying, hey, tuck your fucking shirt in. I didn't want to do it. You know, I was the one with the big head, the hoop earrings, you know, like no one was doing that in Orange County. And I just had a certain way that I talk. And I naturally pushed myself away from everyone, even though they were nice, even though they were decent people. I was just wired to not like them. Anyway, I was fortunate to have a mentor. One of my earlier mentors, his name's Milton. And it was funny because he used to say, man, call me Milton Bradley because I got all the game. Milton Bradley is a distributor of board games. And so I thought that shit was funny as hell, man. And, you know, so every time you close a deal, everyone would be like, yeah, Milton, good job. He's all, man, call me Milton Bradley because I got all the game. And that was the shit. Anyway, Milton was a real cool dude. He actually grew up and was from Long Beach, which was where I grew up. And so me and him connected on a different level. And he was an old school cat, man. I mean, he was sharp, smooth, reminded me a lot of my dad. Because my dad, you know, whenever I seen him or whenever I was with my dad was GQ'd the fuck up. Like, my dad creased his jeans like that, you know, like anywhere we were going to see my dad just was about to be presented an award. Had no idea where the fuck, you know, but he was just always sharp. And I think I got a lot of that from him, and also my uncle, my mom's brother, you know, because I was actually raised by my mom's brother and his family. And both of these men in my life, earlier in my life, these authority figures were always nicely dressed. And that planted a seed that would carry on in my life, you know, now that I'm an adult. But going back to that memory, Milton used to see how I acted, and he used to say that I reminded him of his nephews. And the reason why is just because I was on defense. I was always on guard. I was always, you know, like there was just something wrong, but there really wasn't. And Milton used to say something to me all the time, say, hey man, AD, you know, life is good, right? Life is really good, right? Okay, just want to make sure you remember, all right. You know, he's one of those cats. One of that type of cats, just like, all right. You know, he's always talking, he's always got a good attitude. And man, I love Milton because he taught me a lot of the lessons of corporate America and how to think in a different way. And I'm going to share some more lessons that Milton taught me, but one of the key fundamental lessons is that He taught me how to take the chip on my shoulder, the kind of that thug mentality, just like me against the world, and actually focus it in a way where it was just devoted towards the team. And so, for example, instead of saying everyone's against you, just say, hey, everyone's against you to get to the top of the chart, the production chart. And so I looked at it in a different way. I'm like, all right, so that's how I show that I'm better, right? It's like a complex. It's weird. You know, and if you think about it, the street life was just like that. The street life was wired to only trust your inner circle. If they were in your inner circle, then they're against you. And we did everything that we can to prove that we were the toughest, to prove that we had the most street cred, right? And that's just how, you know, youngsters grew up. And so your set or your clique or your team, the teams were the gangs, is the best team possible. And they just had different ways of showing it, the gangs did. The gangs just had different ways of showing it. They basically showed it through violence, whereas corporate America just showed it through production. And so it took me a while to understand that switch, but when I did, I realized what he meant by saying actions will always be louder than words. And in this world, to be the strongest, you need to be the loudest. Because if you're not heard, then you will be ignored, you will be overlooked, and you will get lost in the shuffle of life. So the trick is to be the loudest, and in order to be the loudest, you have to commit actions. And he taught me what those actions are. If you want to know what those actions are, stick around, check out the other content, because I do share what those other actions are. And please consider subscribing, hitting that bell, hitting that thumbs up, commenting, and liking the video. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.